Hey guys, welcome back to Backyard Repair, and what I got for you guys today is we are going to be doing a valve cover gasket replacement on an '08 Chrysler Sebring. It's the 2.4 liter 4-cylinder. So it's gonna be I think a pretty simple install. So what I'm gonna be working with is I got some pretty common hand tools. This is gonna be a Hart 90-piece mechanic tool set. Got our gasket. We're gonna need to be using a little bit of gasket maker. I got the blue, and it says it's good for valve covers. A little pry tool. Preferably use a plastic one as to not scratch the metal, but I don't have one of those, so I'm gonna be real careful trying to pry that open. And then we got some bolts to take off and some hoses. So I got an impact driver, and if that ain't gonna do the trick, then I got an impact wrench. So that's all I got for now, so let's get to it. All right, so first thing you want to do before I did this, I checked my oil, because the reason why we're fixing this gasket is that it is leaking or spraying mist. I am assuming out through the gasket back here, so we will check that. And I checked the oil because it was leaking. Anyway, first thing you want to do is, this just has a couple clips on all fours, so let's pry that up. And then this side, set this to the side, and then you will see this is the valve cover. Got a couple coils right here with torque screws, and these are the clips I was talking about. And then we got a bunch of these bolts right here that go all the way around, and a couple inside. And then some hoses right here, here. And then we'll have to move these wires out of the way. So with these little clip things, they just screw off, and you will see that they are screwed on to one of the bolts. And do that for each four. I'm pretty sure this one is broken, but I can still get that off. So I went ahead and disconnected the hoses. One is right here. I just pulled that out and then tried to disconnect it from here, but it's kind of stuck on there, so I just followed it, and it was connected to the air box. I just popped that out. So I got myself one of these torque bits, and what seems to fit pretty perfectly on it is a T30. See, it's pretty good on there. So, and that will just hook up to a 1/4 ratchet. So, okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect all these clips. You just clip in and slides off. You can do that for all four of them. Alright, we'll move this out of the way. Now we got our T30. Unscrew these. Just gonna pop those loose for now. There it is. I'll take it off and undo it by hand. It's pretty easy after you pop them off. As soon as you got that, I would prefer you guys have a container to put all your nuts and bolts in. Then once one of those are out, that should just pull straight up. And this is going to be to your spark plug, this is your coil. So, and we'll do that for all four of them. Alright, so we got all four of them out, and I made sure to keep them in order. I don't know if that's really important, but just to make sure not to mess anything up. So next we're going to be working on these bolts. And for these bolts, it looks like an 8 will fit on there pretty perfectly, so that's what we will be using. So now I got my impact driver here with the 8mm, and we'll take these off. So yeah, it works. So I'll continue to get all of them off now. And I guess they don't come all the way out, they're pretty stuck in there, so don't worry about that. It'll still come off once you get them all the way unscrewed. Okay guys, so there's a gas line right here, and there's a bolt under all these cables and wires and hoses, so I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect this fuel line. Okay, so right here there's a little cover which holds on a zip tie to this, and it's on that screw. It was on there pretty good, so I had this little pry tool and it kind of just got in there and just pried up like that. So and you probably want to hold, I held pressure like this just to keep it even, but I ended up getting it off. So. All right, there is also another one on this back side right there, so we'll get that one off too. So this one actually ended up breaking off, so I went ahead and just twisted it off of there. That's what worked for me. Okay, so now with all those screws off, I'm going to carefully try and pry this corner away, get this half up, and then I'll try to just shake it off. So it actually took a little bit of prying. What I did was I started from this little lip right here, and I actually had to get a flathead in there like this, and I kind of twisted it, but it was kind of against the gasket and the valve cover, not the gasket and the head. So, and then did the same thing on this other side. Right here you see this metal, and this valve cover has that gasket in between this and the metal, so I was able to get a flathead in there and kind of twist it off, and then just pulled it up. And you'll hear some like cracking, but that's okay. So there it is. You got the timing chain and all that. So yeah, you see where that rubber broke from there. So that's not good. All right. Then you'll be able to just kind of wiggle it off. Right there. So I'll get this off. Yeah, this gasket was rubber when it got on, and this just broke off like it was plastic. So that is not good. And I kind of thought that was the case where it kind of cracked over here, and that's what was spewing out. And I'll show you. It was, I think right around here somewhere, but this gasket is hard as a rock. Go ahead and get that off, and we'll replace it. All right, so I got all the plastic off, and so what I had to do there is it kind of just came off with a little force, and then in these circles I had to take some pliers and go in there, and then they just came straight up. So now next thing you kind of want to do is anytime that you put a new gasket on, just you want to clean around these edges, and then we're going to clean around in these spark plug holes, so the gasket can make a good seal on the metal and it don't leak. So like for that spot, what I see some people do is they get a razor and very carefully they just kind of scrape it off just like that. So don't nick the metal, that will not be good. So yeah, so there will be a spot here and a spot here, and what you do for these, there's like a little lip here that separates the timing chain cover to this head, and you want to put some gasket maker in between here, and the same for the other side. See where they already done that, and then we'll put the gasket on the cover, and then we'll seat it. So I went ahead and sprayed down the inside of this valve cover with brake cleaner just to remove all of that plastic, and because you don't want that in with the engine, as well as less as humanly possible. And then this is the old gasket all crunched up, plastic-like, and this is the new gasket. Got this hard plug whole gasket, and that is a lot more rubber-like. So, and once that is done drying, you'll seat that onto the valve covers and we will put it on there. So, and what I did here is I cleaned as much as I could around the edges, scrape it off with that razor blade, get all the plastic off, and then we will put the gasket maker on those sides. So, and then we'll put it back on. I went ahead and put the gasket maker on the little cracks over here, and then that's what it's going to look like when it's all seated down. So we'll go ahead. I'm probably going to put a little gasket maker on each corner just to hold it in there while it's upside down and getting placed in. So we'll go ahead and do that. So we got those bolts hand tightened, and now what we're going to do is we're going to torque them to what it says the specs are. So, and I think that's 105 or 108 inch-pounds, but what I'm going to start with is 50. I'm going to work inside out, and then we will go ahead and torque it to 105. So, then after that, it's just a matter of putting all these hoses back together, this clip thing and fuel line, and then we'll put the coils back on. All right, I got all the bolts torqued to spec. I put all these hoses back, put the fuel line back in, and then I went ahead and put all the coils back in. These bolts just hand tighten, don't need to get too crazy with those. And that's basically the gist of it. You got a brand new gasket in there. Okay, so after all that's done, what the gasket maker says on the package is you need to let it cure about 48 hours. But what I went ahead and did was I started it, checked for leaks. There's no leaks, so I let it sit there and cure, and then that's it. That's how you install a valve cover gasket. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, hit like and subscribe. It'll really help me out getting started. So thank you guys. See you next time.